Simon Chambers, thank you for your time. Filmmaker behind Much Ado About Dying. It's a tough film to watch, but a film that must be watched, if that makes sense in a roundabout way. That's how I feel anyway. A tough slog, but such an eye opener into a world that people really do need to know more about. Tell me about the title and tell me how you came to have this film ready for the cinema.
Well, the film's called Much Ado About Dying because it's the last few years of my uncle's life, and he was an incredibly exuberant actor, Shakespeare actor, which is where we get the title Much Ado About Nothing, of course. But the I hope that it's a funny film as well, because yes, it's about dying and it's about getting old, but he's got an incredibly upbeat idea about it, and really he wants me to help him to have a really good death. And the film really starts with me in India, where I was making another film, and he keeps calling back and says, I'm dying. You've got to come back and look after me." And then I do come back eventually, but I realize he's got absolutely no intention of dying. And then the film is a kind of roller coaster of the ups and downs of being a family carer. And the great thing about it is that so many family carers around, in Ireland, for example, I found out there's over 1 million of, underrepresented, undervalued, and all these people are going, "Oh my God, you've made a film about my life. Thank you so much," because nobody wants to talk about this.
And that's crazy when you say the statistics like that. That's, a fifth of the country conservatively. And, you're speaking to a lot of people and you're telling the story of a lot of people in this country. I mean, you were in the UK when you made the film. And obviously, again, without giving out too much away, you obviously didn't have this picture in mind when you were making it. It sort of just happened, which is kind of the genius of it. Um, I guess where did the consent come from your uncle in making it? I mean, he's obviously a performer, so I think that was a big part of it. I can see that that was a big part of it. He wanted to be on film for a lot of it, but there were some very, awkward moments and trying moments in the film as well.
That's right. Well, there are some raw moments in there, but the thing is that it was actually David, my uncle, who asked me to make the film. He said, "What's your he was an actor, and I got home and he said, 'What's your problem? You're a documentary filmmaker. Why the hell aren't you filming me?'" And I was thinking, "Oh, it's boring, old people, blah blah," which of course is a ridiculous kind of
He's the
presumption
least
that
boring old person I've ever
because
met.
he's absolutely yeah, he's absolutely kind of dynamic on the screen. And so I had absolutely no qualms about filming even some of the rawer moments, um, because I know that's what an actor's job is. They are there, they're using their themselves, their bodies, they are a vehicle for getting across human emotion, human stories to an audience.
This is a film a lot about the caring life and the life of the carer and the receiver of that care, but it's also a film about a man who was gay and at a time when that wasn't easy. It's a film
It
about
was illegal.
yeah, well, a film about your struggles as well.
Yeah.
But there's all those elements in it. So I'd like to point out that there's a lot to this film, which includes that as well.
Well, one of the things that I wasn't really expecting, because, like you were saying, you never really know what you're going to end up getting when you start making a documentary like this, because you don't know where it's going to go. It's like fishing. You stick your kind of hook in and you don't know whether you're going to catch a mackerel or a carp. So, really, I didn't know where it was going to go or what was going to happen. But one of the lovely things at the end is that, I mean, there were few people that had welled up at the end of the film. Last night when I was showing it in Glasgow. And I said, "Oh, I hope I haven't, you're not upset." And they said, "No, no, it was really beautiful because it's about these two men, me and my uncle. And it's about us, when you care for people, quite often they can be a bit grouchy. And family members, you can be grouchy with each other,
With your
can't you? And you
family,
can
yeah.
kind of get away with a lot with your family members because you know that ultimately they're there for you and they love you, hopefully. And so she said, no, it was actually crying because she felt there was a sort of beautiful thing of these two unusual men, me being one of them, um, actually sort of acknowledging in the end how important they were to each other and their love for each other, just in the nick of time before Uncle David pops away.
And I mean, that's, obviously the saddest part of the movie, but we kind of all know it's coming in terms of, you say it in the title. But along the way, there's some beautiful moments and it appeals to so many people for so many different things. You're doing some Q&A sessions now that the film is out. It's out today, the 10th of May, this Friday. And what will these Q&A sessions involve, and what do you hope people will get out of them along with the film?
So we've had fabulous Q&A sessions all over the place. And what I find one of the most wonderful things is that people who are the carers themselves, they come up and they want to tell their stories about what's happened to them. And it's really fabulous because you see, I think carers feel, oh, it's boring. Nobody's really interested in me looking after Granny for 10 years or whatever it is. But actually, there are fascinating stories, fabulous stories there. And then the other thing is that, I mean, I don't want you to make the audience think that it's an incredibly sad film. It's very funny and it's very moving. And my Uncle David, he's determined to have a good death. And the funny thing about death, none of us want to talk about it. It's a sort of big taboo, remaining taboo. Um, but I feel that you can have a good death. Of course, it's sad when somebody goes, but you could have a bad death or you can have a good death. And he's determined, a few days, as you see in the film, a few days before he dies, he's singing, I believe in miracles, you sexy thing. Um, and he's just got a real kind of verve for life. He's very positive, and he actually said, "Well, without death, life would be absolutely meaningless. It would just go on and on and on. It'd be like a Shaggy Dog story that never ends, and we'd all get really bored."
You're right. There is a lot of happiness to be taken away from this. That's why I say it is a must watch as well, because it kind of makes you make sense of life in a way. I mean, it's the question we'll never be able to answer. What is the meaning of life? But this goes a long way to trying to explain it to a certain extent as well. I can only imagine what David's funeral was like. Well, what was it like?
Well, it was a disaster because it was in true David style, actually.
No surprises there.
Because a lot of his actors showed up at the last minute, and then they all wanted to steal the limelight and do, let's reenact a scene from such and such in the crematorium. And then the guy that ran the crematorium was looking at me and sort of doing that sign where you sort of putting your hand across your neck to go cut, cut, cut. Yeah, like yeah. And because I probably had six more behind, that were kind of backing up behind. So that was typical David style, really. I mean, the thing, David was very funny because he said one of the lines in the film is he's telling a friend, an old friend in the care home. He says, "Oh, dying, it's just like going on a wonderful holiday, but without any of the bother of having to pack." And he was always coming up with these little witticisms.
It's a brilliant line. It really is. And the movie's full of them. Just wrapping up then, Simon, what do you think his review would be of this film? He's never backward in coming forward with his opinions, as we've discussed.
Well, we've
Do you think yeah, what would your uncle say if he had to give a one-line
well,
review in the Herald?
well, you know what? I think that like when I first finished the film, he would have probably been very critical and said, "Well, you haven't done this right, and no, you should have done it like that." But that's just about the way we were. I mean, we had a lot of love between us, but he would have been thinking, "No, you should have done that. You should have done this." But then since then, we've had some really great reviews in things like, we had a great one last week in the Guardian in England,
Okay.
and it had Julian Clary and the actress Juliet Stevenson, and he thought they were both fabulous, and they adore the film and have ended up becoming ambassadors and saying, you've got to see this film. It's very funny. It's asking questions about things that don't get asked very much. And I think after seeing that review, he would probably change his mind and then say, oh yeah, it's brilliant. I love the
Yeah.
film.
They liked it. It's good.
Yeah,
Not because you did a
exactly.
good
Yeah.
film, Simon.
Yeah, exactly.
Simon, you have done a good film. Like I said, a tough watch, but a must watch. And
Yeah.
for
Well,
so
I'm really
many.
excited about coming to Ireland, and we're going to be going all over the place. We're going to Galway, Limerick, about 3 or 4 showings in Dublin and Cork as well. And Belfast as well. So it's going to be really exciting.
And I'm so glad that that's happening because it's a film that needs to be seen by so many. It's staggering when you say that quote, there's a million people that are caring for others in this country. Let's at least get them along to see it, if not millions more. Well
I'd
done
love to
on
see
the
some of
film,
them.
Much
Yeah.
Ado About Dying. Congratulations, Simon James.
Thanks so much. Bye bye.
Nice to
See you.
chat. Thank you.
Bye bye.